Hi everybody, it's Joe Cioffi here on this Friday. I'm 4 hours away from starting my vacation, and let's say hi to Wayne S. and our city, and we also have 358 Bobcat, and I saw Raymond here, and Awesome Gamer is here too, so it's a nice start with all the regulars, and we've got a few things going on that we want to talk about, and Delvin is here. I haven't seen you in a little bit. Good to see you, guy. Let me just give you a heads up ahead of time as far as the weekend is concerned, and next week I'm gonna be limiting what I'm doing. More than likely, I'll be streaming in the evening time, depending on what kind of a fishing day I have, starting tomorrow and through all of next week. So I need a little downtime, as you know, given everything that's going on. Cynthia Guignadas, hi. David Merritt, hi. Jason Schaefer is here too, and hi to you, and Eric P. And Cameron Pine. So everybody's here, so we'll get it going. And PRJ Grudge is here. So I'm in a good mood today. Lidl Griffin is here. Awesome. So let's take a look at what's happening with La Maria, which is moving away now from Turks Island. Justin Stewart says hi from Nova Scotia. I'm going to get up there one of these days, Justin. It's a beautiful part of North America, and I haven't been into Canada in so long, but that's on my list of places to go. I want to fish Nova Scotia, and I also want to fish in Newfoundland, and that is on my bucket list. So Maria is moving away. The eye of Maria has been kind of on the ragged side. It looks like it's making a bit of a comeback right now. Also looks like on the last few frames that it's starting to move a bit more toward the north. It's kind of gotten itself on a steady course there in terms of the speed. So good news is that it is pulling away from the Southeastern Bahamas. Turks Island came within about 50 miles or so, the eye did, of Turks Island, and on it goes. So at least it did not make a pass over it like Irma did back just a couple of weeks ago. And the question, of course, with Maria is, what's it going to do strength-wise, and where is it going to go? Well, strength-wise, it has a little bit of a window here. There's some shear that is getting in the way from the southwest, and that probably accounts for its, slightly oblong north to south. It's a little bit more pronounced on the northern side than on the southern side, but it's not. Presentation here is certainly not bad, but once it starts getting north of 25 degrees north, and particularly once it gets north of 30 degrees north, it's going to have to deal with the cold ocean water that was left behind by Jose. And we have mentioned that over the last couple of days. Father Simeon Parsons, good to see you here, Father. Kevin Francis is here, finally catching it. The live stream, living it up in Burlington, Vermont. Catch any fish yet? I haven't left yet. I'm still in my suit and tie. I'm working tonight. This is actually where I work was actually on my way to where I'm going, so I figured I'd just do the shift and then take the extra day off on the back end, which will be next Monday. So why don't we take a look at the Hurricane Center's forecast for Maria, and we'll punch this up. We'll move it to the top. And the Hurricane Center, basically on this north track, keeps it as a major into early Sunday morning before it starts to weaken it a bit. And you can see it kind of jogs to the northeast and jogs to the north, and then gets to southeast of the North Carolina coast by about a little less than 300 miles. And that is, by the way, a bit of a nudge to the west from the prior advisories, because there's been a bit of a slight model shift to the west, and I'll explain that in just a second. From here, it should turn out to the northeast or even to the east-northeast, based on what the models are showing. Lynn Volpe likes my suit. Taco Bell. Hi. I'm sorry. Ruru 25. Yeah, you know what? All of these things need to go away. We've had enough. And speaking of going away, Jose has gone away, and we'll show you Jose, because that is, been intricately tied to all of this with Maria in terms of its future. And after 70 advisories that have been written on this storm, 70 over the last 17 days, it's gone. And even the Hurricane Center expressed that emotion when they wrote the last advisory today. And you can see what's happened here. It's really gotten weaker. The highest cloud tops have pulled away. It's really just more of a low or low cloud, mid-level cloud swirl at this point, with just a few very thin bands of shower activity going on. A little bit of wind still going on in southeastern New England, but for the most part, it's done, and it's going to continue to weaken. And it looks like it's been kind of drifting a little bit to the east, which is what some of the new models have been saying. So we'll take a look at the hurricane track models with regards to Maria before we get to the GFS. Now, they have shifted slightly westward, a little bit closer to the North Carolina coast, and they are fairly tightly clustered, but they all turn it out, at least the ones that you see here. There's a whole lot of many others, but the ones that are plotted on this map, which are not part of the GFS or the Canadian model or the UCMET model, all turn it out to the northeast or even to the east-northeast. So let's see what's going on, because we have the new GFS. I don't think it's out far enough, but if not, we'll look at the old one and come back to the new one. And we'll take a look here. I'll bring that up for you, set it up, bring it up to the top. And let's, whoops, hang on. Okay, and let me just turn on let me bring the time frame down. Interact, that's ready to go. Change the region for you. I think we could look at the eastern part of the US. Now, this is the new run, so we're going to get that moving. And I'll start with the 6 hour. So you're not going to see Maria come into the picture until you will see it now. We're now into Sunday. Still moving to the north. It starts to take a little wobble to the northeast. Still out there. I think the GFS's pressure on this is overdone. I can't imagine it be getting down to a 936 millibar hurricane. And notice the track on the new GFS is now more northwest. It's making I think you can argue that this could be a close call for the Outer Banks of North Carolina, and you can see that at least through the middle part of the day on Wednesday that it does that, and then we start to get that movement out to the east. So it is, it may get close based on the GFS anyway. That is in line with the prior run, but I don't think it gets any closer than this. We look at the European, and you can see it on the European. Now, we only have the 24-hour increments on the European, so I'll back it up. The European, which up until now with all these tropical systems has been the furthest west of them, on this particular run, it actually was the furthest east. It did come back west, but it didn't come back as west as the other models. And I didn't get a chance to look what happens in between these 24-hour periods from Wednesday morning to Thursday morning. It probably gets a little bit closer and then moves out to the northeast. The GFS track on the earlier run did manage to produce gales, and that makes total sense with what's happening. And let me just move this back because I want to show you what's going on with the jet stream with all of this. And here we go. Let me just shift this over just a little bit. Keeps wanting to go full screen on me because I really would like to be able to see what you guys are saying. So I'm sort of keeping it on half the screen, but I keep hitting it with the mouse the wrong way. So I'm going to show you the European, what the European model did earlier today with the jet stream. Now here's the issue. The problem is, well, you've got a couple of things going on. Of course, we know that Jose needs to get out of the way, which it does, and all the models show that. One of the differences, though, with the European and the GFS versus the Canadian is the speed of movement of Maria. The Canadian is a good 12 to 18 hours faster with moving Maria up the coast, and as a result, it gets further north on the and further west on the Canadian than it does on either the European or the GFS. And what's going to happen is, as we move into Wednesday and Thursday, this northern part of the jet stream that's been up in Canada because of the ridge that's been in the eastern part of the United States is going to start dropping southward. And as it does so, the upper air winds are going to turn west-southwest. The ridge in the east is going to collapse. The upper winds are going to turn west-southwest, and that is going to force Maria to turn northeast and then east-northeast. Now, the only way that the Canadian model would be correct, and this is really the only way, is if all the other models are wrong with regards to the speed of the movement here. And I'll show you what the Canadian did today. And a few other models, by the way, it was not alone. There are some models that do this, but I really can't put much stock into it at this point regarding that. And we'll bring up the Canadian model, and I'll put the area of rain. Now the Canadian, again, remember, it's because of the fact that the Canadian is a good 12 to 18 hours faster with the position of Maria. So here it is. We will now, this is Monday afternoon, Monday evening at 7 p.m. Maria is southeast of Cape Hatteras, North Carolina. Look where it is on the GFS. It's way south. Look where it is on the European. Also way south. So the only way that Maria becomes a threat for the East Coast is that it has to run up the East Coast now while we have this ridge in the east and a southerly, a light southerly flow along the East Coast. Because if it takes until Tuesday night or Wednesday to get even with the Carolinas, by then you're going to have this jet stream. You see how on the this is the Canadian's jet stream, and this thing has really moved along. So it keeps the upper low way to the west, and by being faster, Maria's already up into southern New England here when the jet stream is dropping down. But look at the GFS on the jet stream. You see where Maria is, and you see where the jet is. So there's the difference. Maria is up near Long Island on the Canadian. On the GFS, it's still southeast of Cape Hatteras. Okay, and that is a big difference. I'm going to look at, by the way, just on the new run with the 10-meter wind, because the old run, which was a little bit to the right, brought some gales in, and I imagine it does bring, actually it brings gales into the Outer Banks. So this would be a fairly close call for the Carolinas if the GFS's westward shift is correct. So that's the big if. And we only have out 238 hours, which is 12Z, which is 8 a.m. Thursday. If we look at the jet stream at 8 a.m. Thursday, you see where it is with respect to what's going on to the north. You have all these lines that are close together when you go up from northern New Jersey on up into southeastern Canada. That is the jet stream that is dropping southward, and that's why Maria goes out to the east. We don't have the right trough set up to bring it straight up the east coast. You would need the trough to be back into the Ohio Valley and dropping southward into the central Gulf states or the southeast, and then a southerly flow along the east coast. You have a west-southwest flow here that's dropping southward, so this is going to be getting out of the way. And I think, again, based on what I'm seeing, this is going to be an out-to-sea scenario unless we start to see Maria really moving a lot faster than what's being modeled. That's the only way that this becomes an issue for the East Coast. So, the European needle, yeah, it does have the better record. I think the European GFS idea right now, to me, holds sway. I don't see any evidence that suggests to me that Maria is going to be accelerating. One of the reasons against it, by the way, is the fact that we don't have a trough deep enough along the East Coast to push it. If it were moving at 15 or 20 miles an hour or getting ready to move at like 15 miles an hour or more, then I might be concerned. But I don't see any evidence of that, and I don't see any evidence of that coming into play in the next couple of days because of the ridge of high pressure in the east. We have very weak steering currents. They are mostly from the south, but they're weak. They're not pushing it along at any great speed. Let's see. Where upstate am I going? I'm going up to near Lake Ontario, up near Oswego. I'm going to be doing some fishing up there. I'm from the country. We live up by the Canadian border, Relic Digger. Very nice. I love it upstate New York and up near the Canadian border. And I am going to get myself back into Canada. Cynthia is correct in the Rero, followed by the GFS, followed by the CMC, followed by the NavGem. That's the order in which I would rank these models in terms of accuracy. Chris O'Shaughnessy, I know they use all of them, but I thought the GFS was not the most reliable. Well, it's the second most reliable. And you know what? The Europeans not fail, foolproof. It does make mistakes, and it does miss things. So, you have to be kind of on top of it when one model is doing a better job than the other. I'm not married. Yeah, I would kind of throw the UKBED in there too. I don't look at the UKBED enough as I should. What happens is I'm so kind of used to my regime of looking things in a certain way, and I only remember to look at the UKBED when somebody says, hey, you should look at the UKBED because it did something that was important. And I like the UKBED. The UKBED does work well a lot of the time. Oh, thank you, Cynthia. I'm the most reliable model, but I certainly don't look like one. But thank you just the same. So let me. Usually we go for a long time. Sometimes we've done these live streams well into an hour, but I'm going to cut it short tonight if it's okay with everybody. I think we've got Maria in its context, and by the way, I think Lee is back in the Central Atlantic. It has resurrected. It's back to a tropical depression. It's out well to the east of 50 degrees west. I'm not really even going to bother with it. It's not worth looking at this point. Maria, there's nothing else that should develop until we get into the first week of October. As we get to the latter part of that week and beyond, I think we're going to have a couple of more storms pop up. Pressures are going to be low in the Caribbean especially. So I would not be surprised to see something developing maybe in the northeastern Caribbean or just east of the Leeward and Windward Islands, and then gradually making its way westward or west-northwestward. I'm just looking at the pressure pattern. I know the GFS has kind of done that a couple of times in the long range. So, my antenna is up a little bit. We will take it from there. With regards to whatever that model, whatever we start to see down the road. But, there might be a little bit of a break for about a week before let me just take a look. I want to see something here. Yeah, the 18Z, gets it very close to the Outer Banks of North Carolina. I'm just looking at that. You know what? I'll punch that up one more time before I say bye-bye. So let me bring the Interact up. We'll get the 18Z. GFS. Precip moisture. Okay, so you can see it gets very close to the Outer Banks here on the new run. And it probably is due to the fact that it comes up maybe a little bit faster. I'm not going to totally discount the Canadians' idea. I just don't, it's going to have to prove it to me some more. But the GFS does bring it awfully close to the Outer Banks. And when we look at the 10-meter wind on this, it certainly brings gales in there. The core of the hurricane just stays barely offshore. But it is going to be, it may wind up being a close call for them. Let's see what the overnight models do. The mid-cycle runs sometimes aren't the most reliable runs in the world. So we'll defer. And I am not going to be live streaming tonight under any circumstance because I will be in my car driving. Let me just, I haven't done this in a while, so I'll move myself up to the top. But I will be in my car driving. So we will, I need a break. PRJ Grudge has hit the super chat. Big thank you to you, PRJ Grudge. I really appreciate it. I am tired. Let's see. I don't think I just want to see. I missed that comment. I'm sorry. Lee was not good for us in South. You talk about the old Lee from years ago. I'm sorry. I saw a comment here. I just wanted to answer to. GFS is looking like the Canadian. Well, it's looking a little more like it with that closer call. Can you show long-range precipitation for the area you're in, Trish and Lou? I can tell you that when we look at, I'll punch it up real quick, and then I'm really going to take a break. Here we go. I always like to oblige. So here's the eastern U.S. I'll put up the precip map, the forecast total rainfall, total accumulated precip, and this is going out now. We are how far out are we? I can't tell. My eyes are getting to me. It looks like we're out for the next 7 days. So you can see how relatively dry it is throughout most of the east. You've got the rains from Maria getting very close to the Carolinas. A lot of moisture out to the west. And you know what? Just for laughs, let me just look at the western. We'll put the whole U.S. up. And I'm going to put the snowfall map up. Yippee! So here's the snow forecast for the Northern Rockies over the next 7+ days. So there are going to be some areas that are going to be getting snow. So for all you snow lovers, you should be very happy. Lynn Volpe, thank you so much for hitting the super chat tonight. I really appreciate it. You guys are great. So look, I'm going to say goodnight, and I'll probably do something tomorrow evening. Unless the fishing's really good and I fish to about past sunset and I'm completely exhausted. So we'll keep you posted on what happens with Maria over the weekend. We're certainly going to keep an eye on weather models. Watch the important thing to watch is the speed of movement. If you start to see on the advisories that it's beginning to move at a faster rate of speed, then we are going to have to be cautious, because if it comes out quicker, it has a chance to get further north and closer to the coast before ultimately that jet stream comes down and kicks it out to the northeast. Record highs in the northeast and mid-Atlantic this weekend, so if you want summertime weather, you're going to get it. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you tomorrow.